Hello beautiful souls, and welcome back to my channel Soul Journey. My name is Beck Ahimsa, and I am back in my hometown. Actually, I'm literally sitting in the place where my best friend and her current partner, where me and him decided to do the event where they would meet. And so it's a really cool kind of spot. Don't mind the lighting. The sun feels so good. Anyway, I wanted to, you can't even see my eyes. How's that? It's like, let's adjust a little bit, shall we? Let's adjust. Oh, I just saw 111. Brilliant. I'm just lounging. Anyway, I wanted to talk about, I think, something that a lot of us are probably struggling with, to figure out the balance of these two things that are really coming up for us, right? Because we're told that we create our reality, right? And you've got people like Abraham Hicks and Bashar saying, like, what you focus on, you create. It doesn't matter what else is going on, you are going to vibrate into the reality that you focus on. And then you've got people like Teal Swan and Ralph Smart who are saying, like, we chose this vibrationally, 5-6 years ago. We're playing it out now. Like, we can't ignore it. We need to focus on the problem. We need to take action. We need to be aware. We don't want to be in denial, right? And I think a lot of people who are hearing these different messages, if you listen to many teachers, could really struggle with, like, okay, well, now what? Do I listen to Abraham and just go after what feels good? Whereas Teal would say, that's just denial. You're ignoring what's going on. You're rejecting aspects of yourself. And, Teal would say, go deeper, look at it, own what's happening, make a change in the physical. And Abraham would say, like, why are you focusing on what doesn't feel good? And so I've been really thinking about how I want to come at that duality, right? Because I think that's what we all struggle with is, do I take action? Do I see the problem and take action? Or do I focus on something else? Because, like, we can focus on what we want, but we can still be aware, like, the collective is dealing with something that we're all aware of, right? Whatever's going on the planet. And what I came to recently is that what we're learning right now is and consciousness. It's not this or that, but it's both. And what I came to was the fact that we are collectively all experiencing, but what we focus on dictates how we are going to move through that, right? So if we're dealing with, fill in the blank, right now it's this collective awareness of this virus or whatever, we can have an awareness that the collective is moving through this shadow, right? You can learn those lessons without getting the virus. You can learn those lessons by observing, right? You don't have to be in it. Now, as Teal would say, there's a lot more, it's not just the virus, it's a power grab, blah, 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 all these things. And some of that might be true. But what I think is really important is understanding the playing field, and then understanding that we're the ones who have the power to determine how we are going to move through that. For instance, how many times have you, driven down the road and come across an accident that literally happened seconds earlier, and you're like, if it was a second off, I could have been in that, but I wasn't, right? Where was your focus? How many times have you walked down the street and you've run into someone, actually, Asarius, the guy I was mentioning before, it's a perfect example. We hadn't seen each other in 3 years. We'd kind of fallen off the map with each other. I had been in Australia. He lives in a completely different state. And I'm walking down the street and we run into each other again. And he's like, I was sitting in my house and I wanted to go for a walk. And I was just like, no. And then he was like, okay, now I have to go. And we lined up and now we're really close. He's in a partnership with my best friend. Like, perfect synchronicity, right? Now, logically, you would say that's basically impossible. That's not realistic. We're not looking at reality when we say that's a possibility. So we can have an awareness that the collective is moving through things, but I think first and foremost, we have to be really aware that what we focus on is going to then dictate how we experience that playing field, right? Another great example is last year. I live in New England. It's like tick country. You know, Lyme disease is crazy rampant around here, if that's what you want to focus on. And I did not stop hearing from everyone, the ticks are insane. We find so many of them. I mean, in my town, everything. I saw one tick all year. And it was because someone else found it on them while I was like at their house, right? And me and John Michael kind of joked, we're like, well, we're just not a vibrational match to seeing ticks. That's just not going to be our thing. So I think it's about coming back to this, again, this and consciousness of we can have an awareness abstractly about what's going on and then tap into our inner being, tap into our higher guidance system and trust that it's going to move us through that situation in the best way for us. And I do believe that it doesn't really matter what everyone else is doing. You're going to walk down the right path. You're going to walk down this thing as long as you're focusing on, I have health, I have abundance, I am always taken care of. So, I mean, we know, right? Anytime anything crazy has happened on the planet, there are those people who are, it just doesn't touch their lives because it's just not where they're at. And it could be happening all around them. You know, you could say it's like when the tornado hits somewhere and like one house is standing. It's like, well, why is that? And I would argue that it's because of the vibrational match of whoever lived there. So, again, it's about this and consciousness piece. It's about recognizing that the game is set up and that we have been on a vibrational path. But as we know, because we're conscious creators, we are always able to shift that. And because there's multiple, infinite realities where different things are happening, by tuning into that other reality, you could have a completely different experience than what most of the collective is having. And I don't believe that's being in denial. That's understanding on a greater level that we're shifting into 5D, that we're shifting into a new way of being with our reflection, our mirror, our reality, right? Coming back into this very 3D perspective of this is happening, I have to react to it, I have to engage with it. As much as we are in a 3D reality right now, like, we can choose that, we can play into that game, and that is totally our, creative power to do so. But I think it's also in our creative power to go, all right, well, the rules are changing, or rather, I'm remembering the rules. Do I want to engage in this differently? And that's really up to us individually. Oh my God, my ear is like, I keep like hearing it pop. So, what I think it comes down to is understanding the collective experience is just the current agreed upon reality. And that you as a sovereign being, each of us as individual creators get to determine whether or not we are going to play into that collective dream, that collective agreement, as it would say in the 4 agreements. And it's really up to you. Are you, and the more you vibrate with the collective, say like right now it's a lot of fear, a lot of mistrust, a lot of victimhood. If you play into that frequency, yes, that it will be, your experience will be what the collective experience is. But if you're not vibrating on that, you might find you have a very, very different experience. Again, like that car crash, you could just avoid it. You might not even know you've avoided it, right? Sometimes when we get detoured or, you're a little late or something, sometimes I like to say like, oh, there's something we were avoiding. There's something that wasn't a vibrational match to us. There's something that we weren't supposed to experience. So things worked it out. And I believe that when we're in a trusting, peaceful, observational, conscious creational state, that our lives just kind of flow just right to make our reality a vibrational match to us. So I think it's both and. So I don't know if that helps anyone. I feel like that's really brought me some clarity. These synchronicities today have been just like through the roof. I just like feel like Source and the universe are always speaking to us if we're aware of what to look for, if we're aware and open to seeing the reflections and the confirmations and the synchronicities. They're always there. But if you're in fear and mistrust, you're not going to see them. You're not going to recognize them. You're going to be seeing a lot of other things. But you're not going to see that flow. And so it's really about how we choose to engage. Do we choose to see the synchronicities and listen to them and then move into that, intuitive space of, okay, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, without creating a story, but just trusting that inner guidance and just seeing where it takes us. So it's really a brand new world. We're really in a transitional space where we get to decide how we're going to engage with our reality. Are we going to engage in the collective dream? Or are we going to create our own reality and move into a 5D awareness? Because that's where we're going eventually, right? That's where we're going. We might as well focus on it. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. Comment down below if this is something you've been thinking about, or if this was, brought some clarity, or if you have a different perspective, let me know. And give it a like if you want to see more videos like this, and hit subscribe if you haven't already. I do have my other social media links down in the description down below. I have my Etsy shop where I do readings to help get clarity on where you're currently at, so that you can consciously create the reality you want. And then I have my other social media, and then I do have my Patreon if you want to help support the creation of this content. So all of it, none of it's all good. And I really appreciate sharing this space with you. Thank you for coming across this engagement, even though I don't know who you are and you're going to see it later on. Thank you. This is an exchange. There's no time and space. We get to share energy, and that's a real blessing. So thank you for being on this journey with me, and it's pretty great. So it's absolutely gorgeous. Am I right? Absolutely gorgeous. You're a blessing. Thank you so much. Many blessings. Namaste. And don't forget, it is all about the soul journey.